guys, so today this video is going to be us doing a mat work Pilates session. Okay, so this will involve us talking through the safe working of this video, but also the Pilates principles before we head into some exercises. Okay, so first and foremost, it's really important that you're able to get on and off the floor. We discourage you from doing this on either a bed or a sofa, just in case you roll and fall. I will be doing this on a bed, but that's just for demonstration purposes. Please do make sure you can get on and off the floor. A yoga or Pilates mat is also preferable, just to make that a little bit more comfortable for you. Okay, so we're going to get ourselves lying on our backs. Okay, so now that you're on your backs, you're going to bend both of those knees up and bring your arms down by your sides. Okay, so just to get everything engaged and a little bit more switched on through the lower back, the core and the pelvis, we're going to do some pelvic tilts. So the first thing I would like you to do is roll that pelvis back as if you were flattening your lower back onto the bed as much as you possibly can without or minimal effort going through those legs. And then we're going to arch that back away now in the opposite direction. So we're rolling the pelvis forward, lifting the lower back up and away from the mat, as if the belly button was being pulled up to the ceiling by an invisible piece of string. Good. And again, we're rolling back. We're flattening that lower back onto the bed as much as we possibly can. Minimal effort going through the legs, maximal effort going through the core and the lower back. Okay, so let's roll the other way now. So we're lifting away, we're rolling that pelvis forward, arching that lower back up and away from the bed as much as possible. And then last one, we're rolling back, flattening the lower back onto the bed as much as we can. And then back up towards the ceiling. So we're arching that lower back up and away from your mat, lifting the belly button up towards the ceiling. And then we're just going to relax. Okay, so let's talk about the 5 key points or the 5 key elements. All right, and this is the points within the body and the positions they are in order to get the maximum benefit from these exercises. Okay, so point number 1 is your pelvis and making sure that is in neutral. So it's not entirely flat against the mat, nor is it completely arched away up towards the ceiling. So I want you to come forwards and backwards a couple of times with that pelvis and stop where you think that midpoint between those two positions are. So it's not flat and it's not completely arched. Okay, so we're going to move up to point 2 now, which is the ribs. So what we're going to do, whilst maintaining the position of the pelvis, we're going to imagine we're very gently tucking the ribs down as if we were trying to pop them in the front pockets of our trousers. Okay, good. So points 3 and points 4 now are the neck and the shoulders. Okay, and we need to ensure that they are relaxed. Okay, they're not fixing into the mat to give you some more stability. Okay, so just give the head and shoulders a little wiggle whilst maintaining now the pelvic position and the ribs. Okay, so the final point, point 5, is the core. So the core muscles are actually very low down in the stomach. Okay, almost above your groin region. And to engage these, I want you to imagine you're wearing a belt and you're very gently just taking that belt 1 notch tighter. So it's a gentle draw together. Okay, it shouldn't be a sucking in of the tummy. Good. And now that we've got those 5 key points, let's just hold it there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax and let it go. So those are the 5 key points, and that is the setup. Okay, and that is what we will do before all of the exercises we're about to do. Okay, so let's come back into that setup now and go into our first exercise. Okay, so we have our neutral pelvis, ribs are down, shoulder and neck are relaxed, and that core is very gently engaged. And we're going to come into the 1 leg stretch now. So we're going to keep the foot on the floor, the mat. Okay, keeping the opposite leg nice and still. We're sliding the leg out and away from us. No lifting required. Okay, fully extending and then keeping that pelvis and core engaged, but sliding that leg back up. And then we're going to switch legs. So same thing. Sliding the leg out and away. And then sliding it back up without releasing the core and the pelvis. Good. We're going to do 4 4 more on each leg, and I want you to swap the legs as you go. Ensuring the pelvis stays at neutral, those ribs stay down, the neck and shoulders remain relaxed, and the core is engaged, and we're breathing as we do this. Okay? So you do this at your own speed. And when you've done 5 on each leg, you can relax and have a quick breather. Okay, so if we're done with the one leg stretch number 1, we're going to come into the hip twist number 1. Okay, so again, we're going to have one moving leg and one non-moving leg. So the non-moving leg is just that. I don't want to see it wobbling around. And then the moving leg, what we're going to do is keeping the knees bent, we're going to allow the one leg to drop out to the side just as far as we feel comfortable without allowing the pelvis to roll. Okay, and then we're going to nice and carefully bring it back up to its start position. And again, we're going to swap legs. So come into your setup, do your 5 key points. Okay, and when you're ready, you're going to start with the first knee. So that knee drops out, the non-moving leg is just that, not moving at all. And then control it back up to its start position. And then switching legs, and we're going to do 5 on each leg. Making sure we're breathing, making sure that pelvis stays engaged, neck and shoulders are relaxed. And when you've done your 5, just relax for a moment. Lovely stuff. So we're going to move away from the legs for just a moment and come up into the arms. Okay, we're going to come into a movement now called the double leg stretch. Okay, so with this one, we're bringing arms up in the air, so around about 90 degrees above us. We have our palms facing in towards one another. And what we do is we take the arms up above the head, just as far as we feel comfortable, out, down and round to the side, and then back up into centre, as though we were drawing a capital D in the air with the arms. Okay, so we're going to come back into our setup now. So do your 5 key points. So your neutral pelvis, ribs are down, neck and shoulders are nice and relaxed, and gently engage that core before floating those arms up to that 90-degree position. Okay, so we're going to do 5 of these. Please work at your own speed. We're going up above the head as far as we feel comfortable. Do not let those ribs ping out. Out, down and round to the side, and back up into centre. Okay, excellent. So you just carry on now at your own pace, doing 5 of these. And when you've done your 5, please ensure your arms come back to that start point before they're lowered back down to the mat, nice and slowly and controlled. And relax when you're done. Okay, so that was the double leg stretch prep. Now let's come into the double leg stretch number 1. So this is a combination movement where both arms and legs are moving at the same time. And this is a combination of the double leg stretch prep arms and the one leg stretch 1 with the legs. Okay, so I'll quickly run through that with you. So we bring the arms up above the head. Okay, so now as we did with the double leg stretch prep, the arms go up above the head, but as you do this, I want you to slide one leg out as if you were doing a one leg stretch. Okay, we're going to keep the legs straight as we bring the arms out, down and round to the side. And now as the arms come back up to the start point, I want that leg to come back up into the bent position. Okay, like so. Okay, so come into your setup first and foremost. So your neutral pelvis, ribs are down, neck and shoulders are relaxed, core is engaged, and when you're ready, we're going to float the arms back up to that 90-degree position with the arms facing, palms facing one another. Okay, and we're going to do 3 of these on each leg. Okay, So we're going to take the arms above us as we straighten the leg. Okay, keep the leg straight as we bring the arms out, down and round to the side. And then as we bring the arms up, the knee comes back up with it. Okay, keeping that core engaged. Okay, switch leg. Going up above us with the arms, leg is sliding out. Bring the arms out, down and round to the side. And as the arms come back up, the knee comes back up. Good. So I want you to do 2 more of these on each side. Okay, ensuring that we're breathing, that the core and the pelvis are staying engaged, and that those ribs aren't springing up into the air as we take the arms above our heads. And when you're done, make sure those arms come back to the start position before you lower them back down to the mat. Excellent stuff. So hopefully we've all finished now. So from here, what I would like us to do is we're going to come up into single tabletop. Now, single tabletop is one leg is off the mat and the other leg remains firmly planted on the mat. Okay, so we come up. Okay, so we have a bend of 90 degrees at the hip and a bend of 90 degrees at the knee. So it resembles a tabletop. Okay, so we're going to come into our setup. All right, so your neutral pelvis, ribs down, neck and shoulders are relaxed, core is engaged, and the easiest way to do this, I find, is if you slide your heel towards your bum slightly, and then bring the leg up into the lift. Good. And from here, we're going to take the leg back down now. All right, so it comes from the movement, comes from the hip, and we're not losing the pelvis or the core doing this. And then relax. Okay, so let's come into single tabletop on the opposite leg. So again, make sure you're set up and everything is engaged where it ought to be. We slide the heel slightly towards the bum, and then we come up into single tabletop. Good. And again, we're just going to come down, so the movement is coming from the hip, and we're keeping everything engaged, shoulders and neck relaxed, and we're down. Lovely. Okay, so we're going to come back into single tabletop now, and we're going to come into the one leg stretch number 2. Okay, so set yourself up first and foremost. So your 5 key points. The neutral pelvis, the ribs are down, the neck and shoulders are nice and relaxed, and the core is engaged. And I would like you to take whichever leg you choose first, up into single tabletop. Okay, so now the one leg stretch number 1 in this position is an out and away movement. It's a diagonal movement, and then back to single tabletop. So we're going to do 5 on one leg. We're going to lower the leg, and then we're going to switch and do 5 on the opposite leg. So up we go. So out and away. Ensuring the core is engaged. We're breathing. Neck and shoulders are nice and relaxed. Okay. There is a variation you can do with this. So if you struggle to keep your leg in single tabletop and you have a gym ball available, you can use a gym ball to support the leg. Alright, so then we're going to do the opposite leg. So again, just check your setup if you need to. And then bring yourself back into single tabletop on the opposite side. And we're going to do 5 more of those out and away movements. And completely relax when you're done. Okay, so keeping with single tabletop, we're going to come into the hip twist number 3 now. So again, if you struggle to keep your leg in tabletop, you can use the gym ball to support the leg whilst doing this, if you need to. Okay, so it starts in very much the same way. We come up into single tabletop. And this time, we're taking the knee and the leg out to the side just as far as we feel we can and control it back. Okay, so the leg that is still planted on the mat is just that. It's not wobbling, it's not moving. Okay, we're not allowing the pelvis to roll to get a little bit more movement in the leg. Okay, so we're going to do 5 on each leg. So if you come back into your setup, okay, so your 5 key points, your neutral pelvis, ribs are down, neck and shoulders are relaxed, and the core is engaged. We're going to slide the first leg up into single tabletop. So that's 90 degrees bend at the hip, 90 degrees bend at the knee. And we're just taking the leg out and controlling that for 5. You're only taking the leg as far as you feel comfortable without losing all of your 5 key points. Okay, we lower the leg. Do a quick posture check if we need to, and then we do the same on the opposite leg. Making sure we're breathing, core is staying engaged, neck and shoulders stay relaxed. And lower the leg when you're done. Excellent stuff. Right, so now we're going to come into something we call the hundreds. Okay, so this is a slightly different version now. So the arms and the legs aren't particularly moving. The movement now is coming from the body itself. So keeping in this position, keeping the knees bent. Okay, we're going to lift the head and the shoulders off the mat. Okay, using the hands. And what I mean by that is we're going to raise the hands very slightly up off the mat. And imagine your fingertips each have a piece of string attached to them. And that piece of string is pulling the fingertips down towards the toes. And it's almost like a little ab curl. Okay, so the fingertips are being pulled down to the toes. We're lifting the neck and the shoulders. And then we're controlling it back down nice and slowly. If you feel any strain through the neck and shoulders, you need to relax the muscles around the neck and shoulders and really engage that core. Okay, really think about those bits of string pulling those fingertips. Okay, so we're going to do 5 of these. So we raise the hands very slightly off the mat and using those fingertips pulling down towards the toes, we bring the neck and the shoulders up and then we control down and away, nice and controlled. So you just do 4 more of those as you feel comfortable. And just relax when you're done. Okay. Right, so we're going to loosen off the lower back a little bit now. All right, we're going to come into the hip twist number 2. Okay, so with this one, you keep the knees bent, but I'm going to get you to bring your feet and your knees together. Okay, we're going to bring the arms out to the side with the palms up towards the ceiling as if we were like a little starfish. Okay, and keeping the knees together and ensuring the top knee does not slide away from the bottom knee. We're going to take the knees to one side and take the head in the opposite directions and try and ensure that we keep the shoulders in as much contact with the mat as we possibly can. Okay, so if we start by taking the head to the right and the knees to the left, keeping that top knee on the bottom knee, making sure it doesn't slide away, keeping your shoulders in as much contact with the mat as we can, and bring it back to centre. Good, so let's go the opposite way now. So we're going to take the head to the left and the knees to the right. Good. We're going to do this twice more in each direction. So bring your head and your knees back to the centre. Okay, and then you just continue twice more in each direction at your own pace. And when you're done, return to the centre and you can bring those arms back down by your sides. Okay, so we're going to take these feet slightly further apart again now. So we're going to have them roughly shoulder width apart. Okay. So we're going to come into more of a lumbar exercise now, the lumbar movement, and we're going to come into a shoulder bridge. Okay, and we're going to come into the lumbar bias of this. So we're biasing this towards the muscles of the lower back. Okay, so what we do with this one is we very gently engage the glutes. So it's just a little switch on through the glutes. We're going to roll the pelvis back as much as we can, as if we were flattening onto the mat. And then we're going to keep going. We're going to keep rolling so that bum lifts off the mat nice and gently, just as much or as little as you are able to. Okay, and then we're going to roll that back down, placing each vertebrae on the mat one by one, all the way until we're all the way back down, and then we're going to release. Okay, when we engage the glutes, we need to be mindful that we're not using our quads, we're not engaging the core, it's just the glutes that are switching on. Okay, so let's do 5 of those. So we're going to very gently engage the glutes. We're going to roll the pelvis back and then keep on rolling until we get just a teeny tiny lift of the bum up and away from the mat. And we're controlling it back down, placing each vertebrae back on the mat one by one, level by level, until we're all the way back down and release. Okay, so let's just do 4 more at your own speed. And that's when you're done. Excellent stuff. So our next movement will be coming into double tabletop. So this is where both feet are off the mat, okay? And we are challenging the core now. We're really working on the core because we've really reduced our base of support, okay? So to begin with, we're just going to practice coming up into double tabletop. Okay, so we're going to come into our setup, our 5 key points. Our neutral pelvis, our ribs are down, our neck and shoulders are relaxed, and our core is engaged. I'm going to slide the first heel towards the bum and take the first leg up into tabletop. Okay, we're going to slide the second heel towards the bum and take ourselves up into double tabletop. And we're just going to hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now we're going to lower the first leg. And we're going to lower the second leg. Okay, what really hoping you're not doing is allowing that back to go and to allow it to arch in order to control the movement of the leg back down to the mat. Okay, so we're going to do 1 more of those. So we're just going to practice coming in and out of double tabletop. So again, check your position and your posture, make sure everything is where it ought to be and engaged, and then sliding the first leg up into single tabletop. And then taking the second leg up into double tabletop. And we're holding it there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're lowering the first leg. We're then lowering the second leg. Excellent. Okay. So we're going to come into a movement now called the scissors. Okay, so this is where, we'll just quickly go through it. Both legs are in double tabletop. And we're taking one leg down to the mat and tapping. And then we're taking the opposite leg down to the mat and tapping. Okay, we're just going to come back and forth. Okay, whilst the other leg remains in tabletop. Okay, so what I would like you to do is come back into your setup for me. Okay, so ensure everything is engaged and where it ought to be, our 5 key points. Okay, and then when we're ready, we're going to slide the first leg up into single tabletop. We're then going to take the second leg up into double tabletop. Okay, what we're going to do now is, again, the movement comes from the hip rather than the knee. We're tapping the foot down, we're controlling it back, and then we're switching legs. And we're going to do 5, or as close to 5 as you can manage, on each leg. Keeping that core engaged, keeping that pelvis in neutral, keeping neck and shoulders nice and relaxed. And please make sure you're breathing with this one. Okay. And when you've done your 5, or however many you can do, we're going to come out of tabletop now. So we're going to take the first leg down, and then we're going to take the second leg down. And we're going to completely relax. Excellent stuff. That was brilliant. That's quite a tough one. So well done you. Okay. Right then. So we're going to come back into tabletop now, double tabletop now, for our final 2 exercises. So the next exercise is the hip twist. No, it's not. It's the one leg stretch number 3. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a nice little posture check. Our 5 key points, are they all where they ought to be, engaged and switched on? Okay, we're going to take the first leg up into single tabletop. We're then going to take the second leg up into double tabletop. And with this one leg stays in tabletop and the other leg goes out and away. And bring it back, and then we switch legs, out and away, bring it back. So again, if we can do 5, or as close to 5 on each leg, okay, keeping that pelvis engaged. So again, if you need to, get your feet up on a gym ball to give you some extra support if you're unable to maintain this position. Okay. Okay, and then we've done, roll the first leg out of tabletop. With the second leg out of tabletop and relax. Okay. Just have a quick moment, a quick breather, okay, as we come into our final exercise. So the final exercise is going to be the double leg stretch number 2. Okay, and I find that this is false advertising because at this point the legs don't move again. Alright, we come up into double tabletop and we do the double leg stretch prep arms. Okay, so what I'd like us to do is come into the setup, do our 5 key points. Okay, and when you're ready, you slide the first leg up into single tabletop. You then take the second leg up into double tabletop. And then we're going to float those arms in the air to that 90-degree position. Okay, in double tabletop, if you need the gym ball under the legs and the feet to keep them supported, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so now the legs don't move. Okay, as we take the arms up above the head again, out, down and round to the side, and back up into centre. Okay, and we're going to do 4 more, as close to that as you can manage. Okay. Keeping those ribs down, keeping that core and lower back engaged. Okay, and when you're done, please ensure the arms come back to that centre point before we lower them down, and then we can take the first leg out of tabletop and take the second leg out of tabletop. Wonderful. Okay, so from here we're going to come back up into sitting. Okay, so you're now back in sitting. All right, and just to finish on, we're going to do some nice timed breathing. Okay, because with these exercises, people do tend to hold their breath. So it's just a really nice way of getting that oxygen back into us after those exercises. So we're going to come into something called the corkscrew. And what we're going to do is we can take a nice deep breath in through the nose, and as we do, we bring the arms up and put the hands behind the head. Okay, we're going to hold the breath and we shrug our shoulders and relax. And then as we breathe out through the mouth, we bring the arms back down by the sides. And we're going to do 3 of those. Okay, so if we start by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose, bringing those arms up and placing our hands behind your head. We're going to hold that breath as we shrug and relax. And then we're going to breathe out through the mouth. Bringing those arms back down. Good, so let's do 2 more of those. So deep breath in through the nose. Final one. Well done, guys. You have survived the mat work or video. Okay, as with all the videos, you only do what you feel comfortable doing and working at your own skills and your own levels. Okay, take care. Bye.